Dental Fuel, the podcast that focuses on what no one else is talking about: mistakes. The dental world is full of before and afters, and no one is talking about the middle. Dental Fuel brings you the unspoken in between. Dental Fuel is brought to you by Ignite DDS Coaching, empowering dentists to build self-determined futures. Together, we're shaping the next generation of leaders in dentistry. Elvis closes out our conversation with his thoughts on latest trends in dental technology, the evolution of lab practices, and the integration of digital innovations in dentistry, all while sharing some expert advice. Well, you've shared a lot of great insight and advice here, but I'm curious if you could impart some guidance and some advice to our listeners who are listening in. What would that advice be?
Know what kind of lab you need to be successful. There are plenty of labs out there that will work with you in order to help your business grow. We know that if you're not busy, we're not busy. It's as simple as that. And I spend a lot of my time encouraging offices to go beyond the regular work and see what I can do about helping them grow that business and be more confident in doing it. I think a lot of it is just confidence. You know, if you're doing a lot of dentures, if you're not offering overdentures, you're missing out. But more importantly, the patient is missing out a ton if it's not even offered. And you got to learn how to present that rather than just, it's $10,000 more. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to say no to myself. So if you take the time to explain to the office, who will explain to the patient the benefits of an overdenture over a regular denture, and not just the money, talking about the chewing capacity, what they can eat, their lifestyle changes, job interviews, family, relationships, all of that, and you kind of hit home with it, you'll sell more cases. Mm-hmm. So I spend a lot of time in labs. Some labs are willing to do that. Some labs are willing to take the time to help you grow. And some labs, if you want them to be, which is fine, if you want them to be in the background and you don't know who's making it and you just want to send it off and you're an account number, that's fine too. But know which lab you want for your business. There's enough of them out there.
Where do you see the future of dentistry going?
Well, more digital. I think we're going to be going to more additive manufacturing, less subtractive. So I think we'll be printing final restorations really soon, which is exciting to me. I'm happy about it. I think that's the majority of it. I think in the lab space, we're seeing a lot more technicians go clinical. We're seeing a lot of dental offices starting to get their own technician, almost going back to the way it was way back in like the 1800s, you know, when the lab guy was in the basement of the dentist. I'm seeing a lot of groups get their own technicians, and I love it. I mean, oh no, it's taking work away from me. No, this is providing great jobs to technicians that are getting a chance to see their work chairside and become better technicians. That's another great point that I just made myself. Technicians being able to see their work clinically, game changer. If you're already working with a good lab, but they'd have never gone in to see a crown seat. I spent 13 years in a lab and I never saw any of our crowns be seated. If you're working with a good lab, invite them to come in and watch. Deliver that single central with them there. Let them see. And if it doesn't go great, even better. Let them see why. Let them see the patient kind of like be discouraged. You know, let them learn from that mistakes, because it's so easy for a technician just to get caught up in the work and not see the end result.
I am very jealous of those practices that have their own lab technician in office. I just think that there's just so many advantages to that. And they just become part of your team. It's part of your workflow. And there are just so many advantages I feel like everyone wins.
Oh,
there may, I'm sure there could be, some debates and discussions on how things are done and prepped. I'm sure that probably happens and exists, but at the end of the day, the final outcome in the long run for everyone, I think, is huge.
Yeah, we've talked to so many technicians that are in office on our podcast, and they just their scope of ability and skill just so much more because they can see it.
On the topic of printed restorations, what kind of materials are you thinking will be used, and what scenarios these printed restorations will be used for?
Well, we just had our big Lab Day Chicago meeting.
Sure, yeah.
Happened right there with Midwinter in Chicago, and there's rumors of printed lithium disilicate coming really soon, which is
Wow.
super exciting because we're talking printed veneers, and those would be pretty amazing if they could pull that off. So I think we're gonna. This is the touch point here. I think zirconia is going to go away. Yeah, I'm probably going to be burned for this, but
I'm honestly, I'm kind of surprised to hear that from a lab guy, but
I
yeah, I'm right there with you.
I think it's too hard, honestly, and I think we can't print it. That's proven that we cannot print zirconia. So we're going to come up with something. Somebody smarter than me with a lot of letters after their name will come up with some sort of material that I think is going to replace it. That's going to be even less abrasive to a natural dentition and easier to remove. I think we all just jumped on this zirconia boat like way too quick, which is fine. But I don't think it's the end all to be all.
You think that it'll be a material in between lithium disilicate and zirconia? Okay. Well, that's exciting. I agree with you. I'm such a lithium disilicate fan,
Oh, absolutely.
Can't just, the strength wise too. I just think that it kind of works. It's predictable, especially when you're kind of cementing and bonding. Zirconia, personally, I don't really use a whole lot. I think that there are certain indications where it works well and, patient populations that it's good to use. Bridges, obviously,
Yeah.
you probably, that's kind of our only bet right now, I believe. You probably know more materials than I do, but
it's probably 80% of every lab's business.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what that future looks like. And man, if you could print lithium disilicate, I wonder what that price point will look like, but the turnaround time is going to be huge.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. The first printer is going to be $10 million. And it's going to be years before it gets down to a good price. But everything else starts that way too. The original zirconia, what was that called? I can't remember. They were the original zirconia mills. Oh, lava mills.
Yes.
Those things were ginormous. They were like $800,000. They were just nuts. And here we are now. You can buy a good zirconia mill for about $20,000, if not less. So it just takes time for things to catch up,
Yeah, like all technology, it always comes at a high price, and that's fine. That's just it's.
And I think printable resins for dentures are only going to get better.
Yeah,
I think they're pretty good now, honestly.
I think they're pretty good. I don't know if you know anything about the dental school here in El Paso, but they're doing everything digital, and I think they're good. I think that they can be better.
Yeah, they can. I love the people that complain about how they look or how they don't look great. But if you give it, most patients don't know. And it's not that it's bad. It's just they don't need that Instagram looking denture.
Right.
That's got so much character and it's so veiny. I've never had a patient say, "Can I have a denture with more vein?" It's, you know what I'm saying?
Those are pretty cool to look at.
They're great. They're beautiful. And the technicians that do them are absolutely amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
General population doesn't want it. Right. And that's who we're trying to service mostly.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just like the material just feels different. It feels different. And I feel like it cuts different.
Oh yeah. It totally grinds
it's different. It's different. And it's not a bad different. It's just a different thing.
Well, we've been doing dentures traditionally since 1930. We've been doing digital. It only has been FDA approved since about 2019. So
it's not long at all.
We got a long time before we get the kind of feedback on how these things are doing. So I'm just saying, don't judge too quick.
Yeah. Well, Elvis, it has been a joy, honor, and pleasure to speak with you today. If our listeners would like to get in contact with you, what's the best way?
Well, I got a podcast. We haven't talked about the podcast.
Yes, plug it.
Voices from the Bench. We've been going on for about 6 years now. We do a weekly podcast all about the dental lab industry. we just talk to people in the industry. I don't care. We've talked to Jim Glidewell, and we've talked to some guy that's in his basement by himself, and everywhere in between. We just love to learn. We love to talk about it. If you really want to get a hold of me, the best way is the podcast email. It's just info@voicesfromthebench.com. It's the easiest one for people to remember. But yeah, check out the podcast if you're interested in the dental lab stuff.
All right. Well, Elvis, any last thoughts for us today?
Last thoughts. Pay your lab bill on time. Call them and say good job occasionally. We like to hear that. We don't hear it enough. And if you're not happy, look for another lab. It's okay. There's a lot of us out there in the age of digital. They don't have to be next door.
Great way to sum up our conversation. Elvis, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you for tuning in to our conversation with Elvis Dahl. If you want to hear more from him, be sure to tune in to Voices from the Bench podcast. It is humorous, it's entertaining, and it's a whole lot of fun. We hope that you'll continue to listen to our conversations here at Dental Fuel with future guests. Ready to take the next step in your journey? Book an intro call with Ignite DDS Coaching today and level up your future in dentistry.